Next to me is the Exorcist, a Camaro ZL1 turned up to 11. Well, actually in this case, turned up to 1,000 horsepower. Last year, I drove a stock ZL1 and was incredibly impressed with the interior quality, the performance, as well as the new 10-speed automatic transmission. But today I'm about to drive one with nearly 400 more horsepower. Save from the decals and the badges, from the outside, the Exorcist looks pretty stock, exactly the way you want it. Now, since Hennessy Performance Engineering is only building 100 of these, you can also guarantee you're gonna be the only one in the neighborhood packing this type of power in your ZL1. However, under the hood lies a host of upgrades that'll leave the demon sprinting the other way. A wet sump version of the Corvette Z06's LT4 graces the stock ZL1. We still have a 6.2-liter supercharged V8, except the blower has been increased from 1.7 liters to a 2.9-liter Whipple supercharger. We also have new cams, new valves, new lifters, ported heads, and a really advanced cooling system, an air-to-water heat exchanger that one of the engineers will talk a bit more about later on to make sure that the blower doesn't overheat and you always are getting maximum power. Now, the stock ZL1 was no slouch, 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Seems plenty for a Camaro, but now we've got power a little bit higher. 1,000 horsepower and 885 pound-feet of torque. All right, so the question is, with 1,000 horsepower, a rear-wheel drive layout, and a car that weighs 4,000 pounds, can it actually put the power down? Now, I know some people like to think that there's no such thing as too much power, and in general that might be true, but there is such thing as too much power for a certain platform. If the car doesn't have the right setup, the right tires, and its rear-wheel drive, putting that power down is gonna be really, really difficult. Now, this car is currently sitting on the optional 20-inch forged wheels that Hennessy offers, and they are on the OEM Eagle F1 Supercar tires. With those, until you're about 70 to 80 miles an hour, this thing will burn the tires like nobody's business. As you'd imagine, I have not driven a vehicle that has scared me as much as the Exorcist, and that's part of the fun of it. But if you do want to put down a good time at the strip, they do have a different set of wheels you can put in the back, as well as drag radials, and then it grips extraordinarily well. Get this, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Pretty impressive, right? Now it gets even more impressive. The quarter mile happens in 9.57 seconds at 147 miles an hour. The Demon traps 140 at 9.65, and that's the fastest time that anyone's gotten from the manufacturer themselves. This consistently can do a 957 at 147. That is absolutely insane. And what's even crazier, the top speed, remember this is a Camaro, not a hypercar, 217 miles an hour. All right, well, we're gonna roll onto the throttle here because we are not on those drag radials, but I'm sure that you can see my face during that, and normally when I'm flooring it in fast cars, a lot of times you guys think I'm exaggerating because I'm laughing, and generally, if you've never been in a fast car, that is kind of one of the first things that happens is you or your passengers start to giggle like a little girl. But this thing is so fast that I really can't say anything. I'm simply holding on to the steering wheel for dear life, hoping that the car doesn't spin out sideways, and I still keep going forward. But when you actually mash this thing, I can see why they call it the Exorcist. It's actually like your soul leaving your body. What I really like about it is, apart from the fact that because it has a really aggressive cam, it lopes, and when you're at a standstill, the car does vibrate a bit, which is really cool. When you're actually at speed and you put the car in normal mode, it drives like a normal Camaro, like an SS, yet it has 1,000 horsepower. You could, and I'm not kidding you, daily drive this car. That's right, you could daily drive this 1,000 horsepower ZL1, no problem at all. You've got all of the creature comforts of the ZL1. It's really hot outside right now. The AC works exceptionally well. The seats are comfortable. We've got beautiful Alcantara and leather everywhere, contrasted red stitching, a touchscreen infotainment system. Nothing has been stripped out. We even have rear seats, yet it's able to run a 957. Now, the 10-speed automatic transmission, that was actually a joint build with Ford and General Motors to develop the new 10-speed. Now, Chevy decided to tailor the application for higher performance vehicles like the ZL1, and that's what we've got in this transmission, and it works really, really fast. Let's go ahead and put it into manual mode. We are in track mode right now. We've got Tour, which is the casual driving mode, which I just called normal, but it's referred to as Tour. Then we've got Sport and Track, as well as Snow and Ice. I don't imagine that a 1,000 horsepower car would be good in the snow and ice, but I think we'll leave it into track mode right now. In third gear, we'll roll on the throttle at 40 miles an hour, spinning the tires. Yep, that was 130 miles an hour. The other thing that really impresses me with the Exorcist is I'm leaving traction control on. The techs actually said that the traction control isn't too intrusive even with the power bump. A lot of cars, when you modify them, even like the E63 that I have, when it went from 602 horsepower to 740, the traction control system was really limiting the car. I mean, severely so. But in this, once you're at speed, it really, despite the fact that it's blinking, basically saving my life from certain doom, it's still allowing the car to go forward with a tremendous amount of speed. The good news is, despite the power, we've still got all of the lovely handling characteristics that the ZL1 has. We have magneto-iriological dampers, magnetic ride suspension that's scanning the road 1,000 times per second to adjust itself for optimal conditions, whether you're just trying to cruise on the highway or swinging around a racetrack. When you buy a 1,000 horsepower car from Hennessy, you'd imagine at some point the car may blow up. Well, I'll tell you, they've built a lot of these, and that's kind of Hennessy's claim to fame, is they build them in volume and they build them slightly less than maximum performance. So they take the car when developing it to maximum performance. They even purposely blow transmissions to find out the limits of the transmissions, and then they tone it down a notch for the customer cars so that you don't have that happen yourselves. But they've never had a single Exorcist come back to Hennessy with something needed to be replaced. But what's even cooler than that is, despite that, they still give you peace of mind with a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. And that's not just for the parts that they modify. Some manufacturers, some aftermarket tuners will go, well, we put the Whipple blower on it, so we will warranty the blower, but if you blow up the transmission, well, we didn't build the transmission, that was GM and Ford, so we're not gonna touch it. In this car, the entire powertrain is covered under warranty. So in the worst case scenario, although it's not going to happen, they would replace under warranty your transmission, as well as your engine, as well as the supercharger, all auxiliary power features, cooling, you name it, it's covered under warranty for 36 months and 36,000 miles. Wow, this is out of this world. I love the steering feel. It's nice and tight, very confidence-inspiring. Now, this comes with a 10-speed automatic. What happens if you have a manual ZL1 1LE? Fantastic car, by the way. Well, because of the gearing, Hennessy decided to pro-charge that car instead of put the Whipple supercharger. So it effectively almost works like a turbo, and the power doesn't come all the way on until above 5,000 RPMs. That way, it's progressive, and you can put the power down with that manual transmission and the 1LE. And also, if you take the car on the track, because this power comes on instantly, and I mean instantly, I'm at 2,000 RPMs and absolutely instant. That's not ideal for the track because you'd have to modulate the throttle so much on exiting turns. Now, if you're a professional driver, sure. All right, let's run this down the strip, shall we? I'm not gonna launch it because, well, I'm terrified to launch this thing, especially on these tires, but By the way, if you're curious about more information on this car, I've got a link in the description below, everything you need to know about the Exorcist. And if you really want to buy them, make sure to contact them because this thing is truly epic. Let's hit it. Well, as you can see, I was a little bit all over the place there on the throttle, and that's because that was really scary. This is the first rear-wheel drive car I've driven with 1,000 horsepower. Even the Demon wasn't all that big of a deal with 840 horsepower, but this thing is a monster. Brakes are exceptional as well. Wow, that slowed the car down, no problem at all. Oh, with that, I think I'm gonna put the point of view camera on, show you what this thing is like from the driver's seat, and then we're going to bring in a tech from Hennessy to go over in a little bit more detail what is involved in building this Exorcist. All right, so here are the standard Chevy keys, nothing all that exciting. Put them in the cup holder there. Here is the push button to start the engine. Whew. When that fires up and the cams kick in, then right here, we've got the different driving modes. We'll go and put it into track mode. The exhaust got a little louder. Awesome Alcantara wrapped steering wheel. The actual design here, I don't really like, but the outside where you actually touch the wheel is quite nice. We have these nice paddles. They're a little bit plasticky, but the responsiveness is really good, which is a nice little additive because on the Z06, it doesn't have this 10-speed. The transmission response really isn't that good with the paddles, which is a big disappointment for me. So I think if you're getting a Z06, you gotta get the manual, but this, the second you click the paddles, is pretty responsive. Not quite as fast as that 8-speed unit in the ZF, but still pretty quick. When it's in automatic mode, the shifts are absolutely instant. It's crazy, using a 10-speed transmission. Who would have ever thought? It makes sense for, you know, something cruising on the highway to get really good fuel economy, but having a 10-speed in a sports car like this is something I hadn't imagined, but it works really well. So we're gonna go out onto the strip right here. Roll. That was really fast. That was really fast. Oh, the sounds this thing makes is just unbelievable on those downshifts. Turn in is very responsive. Back on the throttle. Oh, this is gonna make everything feel slow. That's unfortunate. Well, there you guys have it. That's what it's like to drive a 1,000 horsepower Exorcist from a first-person point of view. Let's go ahead and take it into the shop and see what Alex has to say about building an Exorcist. All right, guys, so I've got Alex from Hennessy now here in the car. What's going on, man?
Man, it's good. It's good that you're finally here in Texas with us, joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little hot, I'm sure, more than you're used to.
It's really hot. The fact that this car actually runs this well when it's 90 degrees out is pretty impressive.
Very impressive, yeah. There's a lot of cooling, even from the factory. There's something like 14 heat exchangers just from the factory. The nose is huge, wider than the normal SS. Very nice factory car.
And then you did some additional cooling in the front bumper?
We did, yeah. We added a larger coolant reservoir tank, which adds for the cooling capacity.
Nice. Let's say I have a ZL1 and I wanted to have this package. What do I do? I call you guys up, and what's the process behind that?
Yeah, pretty much call one of our sales consultants. They'll walk you through the whole process. Typically, we're on about a 2-week lead time and a 4-week build time. So if you buy the package today, we'll receive the vehicle in about 2 to 3 weeks, and then our total start to finish build time is about 4 weeks.
Gotcha. No, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And then what does, for 1,000 horsepower, what does that cost?
It costs about $49,500.
It costs about.
Yeah,
it costs exactly $49,500.
Yeah.
And then you get the warranty with that, and you get a car that absolutely scares the crap out of me.
You don't really get a 1,000 horsepower car with a warranty very often. So
no, it's kind of ridiculous. And the fact that I walked through the parking lot, and after driving this, I'm like, wow, 1,000 horsepower with a rear-wheel drive layout is so intense. But every single car in your parking lot is 1,000 horsepower with rear-wheel drive, basically.
Yeah, you get desensitized to the horsepower.
This is just
Yeah.
terrifying the entire way.
Yeah.
I'm sure with drag radials it's a little bit more,
looks a little bit
planted,
better.
but
I think I've found that the time that I'm most excited in a car is when it's braking traction.
no, absolutely.
And you gotta
it makes it so much more exciting.
Keep it in line.
It's hard to say this with a straight face, but at this point, 805 horsepower in my car is starting to feel pretty normal to me, but a lot of that is because you press the gas and the car goes with no drama. This car, there's drama the whole time.
Lots of drama.
Until you master that, but even the tech who took me for a ride earlier in the car was like, oh, yep, this is how it goes.
Yeah, you gotta hold on for the ride for sure.
Well, thank you so much for letting me drive this thing. I had a blast, guys. This is freaking ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. Check out Hennessy in the link below. I look forward to seeing you next video.